Mongol Empire Army. The Mongol Empire Army, which peaked under Genghis Khan, was one of the most efficient and fearsome military forces in history. They emerged in the early 13th century and became a symbol of military dominance in the medieval era. Mongol armies were known for their exceptional cavalry mobility, which allowed them to travel up to 100 miles per day, an unprecedented feat. Their military strategy was based on strict discipline, superior communication, and the use of psychological tactics to frighten the enemy. For example, they used arrows from a distance to weaken the enemy before making a direct attack with heavy cavalry. In addition, they often laid siege to large cities, using siege technology adapted from other nations, such as the trebuchet taken from China. The Mongols' logistical superiority was key to their success. Their YAM system, a network of posts and communications, allowed troops to stay connected even when far from base. Each soldier also carried his own supplies, including some horses, so they were less dependent on external supplies. Mongol dominance was evident in their conquests of China, Persia, Russia, and even Eastern Europe. For example, in the Battle of Khalkha in 1223, they crushed the combined Russian and Kipchak forces through brilliant trickery and strategy. Mongol forces were not only conquerors, but also leaders of innovation in military strategy and logistics, making them a truly unstoppable force in the medieval era. Knights Templar. The Knights Templar was a Christian military order founded in 1119 during the Crusades era to protect pilgrims heading to the Holy Land. As one of the most elite armies of the medieval era, they combined religious spirituality with a high level of military skill. The order grew rapidly, both in influence and power, until it was controversially disbanded in 1312. The Knights Templar were known for their bravery in battle, especially on difficult battlefields, such as in 158 the Crusades. They played an important role in the Battle of Montchaussard in 1177, where a small force of Templars, alongside King Baldwin IV of Jerusalem, defeated a large Ayyubid Sultanate army led by Saladin. The Templars' strength lay not only in their fighting ability, but also in their strict discipline and advanced equipment. They wore heavy armor that protected them from enemy attacks and used war horses specially trained for battle. Their symbol, a red cross on a white robe, signaled their courage and fearsome presence on the battlefield. In addition to the military aspect, the Templars also played a large role in the medieval economy. They managed large financial assets, creating a modern bank-like system to store and move funds for pilgrims and kingdoms. However, their success also brought destruction. In the early 14th century, King Philip IV of France, who was in debt to the Templars, accused them of heresy. This led to the dissolution of the order by Pope Clement V. Nonetheless, their legacy as invincible warriors lives on in history. Viking Raiders. The Viking Raiders were a formidable army from Scandinavia that was active from the 8th to 11th century, right at the beginning of the medieval era. They were known for their brutal fighting skills, hit-and-run tactics, and superior sea navigation. Vikings were not only invaders, but also traders, explorers, and colonizers who left a lasting mark on Europe and beyond. Viking forces utilized their longships, which were designed to traverse both open seas and shallow rivers. This allowed them to attack locations as far inland as Lindisfarne Monastery in 793, one of the first recorded Viking raids, marking the start of the Viking era. The speed of their ships made it difficult for European forces to predict their attacks. In battle, the Vikings were known for their bravery and use of simple but deadly weapons, such as axes, swords, and spears. They also used round shields for defense. One unique thing is their strategy, which tends to be disorganized but very effective because it relies on individual courage and surprise. Vikings also established settlements in regions such as England, Danelaw, Ireland, Iceland, and even reached North America, Lance aux Meadows, long before Columbus. Famous leaders such as Ragnar Lothbrok and Harald Hardrada became symbols of Viking power. Although often portrayed as plunderers, many Vikings also served as pioneers of trade and diplomacy, contributing to the transformation of Europe. In the 11th century, Their conversion to Christianity and integration with European kingdoms slowly ended the Viking era. English Longbowmen. The English Longbowmen are one of the most iconic military units of the medieval era, known for their pivotal role in the Hundred Years' War, 1337 to 1453, against France. Their skill in using the longbow, a powerful longbow, gave the English a great advantage on the battlefield. The advantage of the longbow lies in its long firing distance and high penetrating power. Longbowmen could fire up to 12 arrows per minute, much faster than archers using crossbows. The weapon was able to penetrate heavy armor from up to 200 yards away, making it very effective against cavalry and infantry. The Battle of Agincourt, 1415, is one of the most famous examples of the longbowmen's success. In this battle, a much smaller English army, led by King Henry V, faced a much larger French force. The longbowmen, who formed the majority of the English army, showered the enemy with thousands of arrows, forcing the French cavalry and infantry to retreat in disarray. The longbowmen's training began at a young age, with English laws such as the Assize of Arms, 1252, requiring every man to practice archery. This created a highly skilled and disciplined army. Although military technology developed and eventually replaced the longbow, the longbowmen's contribution in major conflicts such as Agincourt and Crécy made them one of the most effective and prominent military units of the medieval era. Their skill and impact remain a symbol of English military power of the time. Samurai. Samurai were an elite warrior class from medieval Japan, who played an important role in Japanese military and politics from the 10th to the late 16th century. They were known for their bravery, fighting skills, and a code of honor called Bushido, the way of the knight, which emphasized loyalty, honor, and devotion. The samurai's main weapon was the katana, a curved sword that was extremely sharp and a symbol of their status. In addition, they were also adept at using longbows, yumi, spears, yari, and in some cases, firearms in the Sengoku period, 16th century. Their abilities were not limited to direct combat. Many samurai were also trained in military strategy and administration. Samurai played an important role in major wars in Japan, such as the Genpei War, 1180 to 1185, that led to the establishment of the Kamakura shogunate. Another famous battle was the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600, which ended the Civil War era and began the Edo period under the Tokugawa shogunate. One of the unique features of the samurai was their relationship with the daimyo, feudal lord. The samurai acted as the daimyo's personal protector, but this relationship often brought internal conflict as the daimyo vied for power. Samurai were also known for their spiritual lives, with many practicing Zen Buddhism to hone concentration and composure in battle. Although their role diminished after the Meiji Restoration, 1868, the samurai legacy lives on in Japanese culture, both as warriors and guardians of tradition. In the medieval era, they were a symbol of Japan's strength and resilience. Mamluks. The Mamluks were an elite army that dominated the Islamic world in the medieval era, especially in Egypt and Syria. They were originally recruited as military slaves from regions such as the Caucasus, Central Asia, and the Black Sea. After undergoing intensive training, the Mamluks were freed and became professional soldiers with high social status. The Mamluks' military successes were remarkable, and they are best known for their historic victory against the Mongols in the Battle of Ain Jalut, 1260. This battle became an important milestone, as they were the first army to stop Mongol expansion in the Islamic world and demonstrated their prowess in military strategy. This victory ensured the stability of Islamic territories in the Middle East. The Mamluks combined heavy cavalry and highly skilled horse archers with flexible and adaptive warfare tactics. They were also known for their use of weapons such as curved swords, shamshir, and long spears, as well as their ability to master quick maneuvers on the battlefield. In addition to military excellence, the Mamluks played an important role in politics. They overthrew the Ayyubid dynasty and established the Mamluk Sultanate, 1250 to 1517, which ruled Egypt and Syria. Under their rule, cities like Cairo became centers of culture, trade, and power. The Mamluks were not just soldiers. They were rulers and guardians of Islamic civilization. Their recruitment and training system created one of the most effective armies with a legacy that lasted for centuries. Tonic Knights. The Tonic Knights are a German Christian military order founded in the late 12th century during the Third Crusade. Originally established as a hospital to assist Christian pilgrims in the Holy Land, the order soon developed into a powerful military force, playing a large role in Christian expansion in Eastern Europe and the Baltic in the medieval era. They were known for their military discipline, organized warfare strategies, and use of heavy armor. Tonic Knights used weapons such as long swords and spears, with large shields adorned with their black cross symbol. Their strategy often combined heavy infantry formations and coordinated cavalry charges. One of their greatest achievements was the conquest of pagan Prussian territory in the Northern Crusades, 1198 to 1290, where they established the order's state in the Baltic region. They also played an important role in the defense of Christianity against the Mongol Empire and other pagan nations in Eastern Europe. However, their dominance began to decline after the defeat in the Battle of Grunwald, 1410, against the combined forces of the Kingdom of Poland and Lithuania. This defeat marked the beginning of their decline in power in the Baltic region. The Tonic Knights were not only a military force but also political and economic rulers who controlled vast territories in Europe. Their bravery and discipline made them a symbol of Christian power in the medieval era, although their power faded along with political and religious changes in Europe. Their legacy lives on as one of the most famous military orders in history. Bantine Catacombs. The Byzantine cataphracts were the heavy cavalry of the Byzantine Empire that played an important role in the military from the Eastern Roman era to the early and Middle Ages. They were considered one of the most effective cavalry units in the medieval world, known for their heavy equipment, discipline, and organized warfare tactics. Cataphracts were equipped with heavy armor that protected them and their horses almost completely, creating a moving wall of steel on the battlefield. They used long spears to strike the enemy with great force and often carried swords or maces as secondary weapons for close combat. Their success was supported by sophisticated Byzantine military tactics. Cataphracts were often used as the spearhead of an attack, where they would break up enemy formations with brute force. These tactics were combined with other elements of the Byzantine army, such as light archers and infantry, in complex maneuvers designed to encircle or annihilate the enemy. One of their peak moments was in the military campaigns of Emperor Basil II, including victory in the Bulgarian War, 10th century. Cataphracts also played an important role in the empire's defense against attacks by Arabs, Persians, and various nomadic tribes from Central Asia. However, as the economic and political power of the Byzantine Empire declined, the role of the cataphracts also diminished. Nonetheless, they remained a symbol of Byzantine military excellence and represented one of the most impressive cavalry units of the medieval era. Hite Venberg. The Hite Venberg was an innovative Bohemian army that emerged during the Hussite Wars, 1419 to 1434, one of the most significant religious and social conflicts of the late medieval era. Led by Jan Žižka, they were known for their revolutionary defensive strategy, utilizing armed carts, Wagenburg, as mobile fortifications. The army consisted of infantrymen armed with firearms, crossbows, and spears, as well as some light cavalry for quick attacks. However, their main innovation was the use of heavy wagons, reinforced with wooden and metal shields. These wagons were arranged in a circular formation, creating a temporary fortification that protected the warriors from enemy cavalry and infantry attacks. Light firearms, such as hand cannons and small cannons, gave the Hussites an edge against traditional forces that still relied on melee weapons. In battle, they would often lure the enemy into their formations, then destroy them with long-range fire before making an organized counterattack. One of their famous victories was the Battle of Sudomyes, 1420, where a much smaller Hussite force managed to defeat a combined German and Catholic cavalry force by using Wagenburg tactics. The Hussite Wagenburg not only revolutionized medieval warfare, but also marked the transition to an era of wider use of firearms in battle. Their tactics became the inspiration for military strategies in Europe in the following centuries. Janissaries. The Janissaries were an elite force of the Ottoman Empire formed in the 14th century, making it one of the most effective military forces in the medieval era until the early modern period. The troops were known for their high discipline, intensive training, and innovation in the use of firearms, which made them pioneers in modern warfare. Originally, Janissaries were recruited through the Div-Shirmi system, where Christian children from Ottoman conquered territories were taken, Islamized, and trained into professional soldiers. They were completely loyal to the Sultan and were not allowed to marry or own land, so their entire focus was on the military. Janissaries played an important role in major Ottoman victories, such as the conquest of Constantinople in 1453. In this battle, they used large cannons to destroy the city walls, as well as organized formations to attack and take control of fortifications. In addition, they were also involved in other important battles, such as the Battle of Mohacs, 1526, which cemented Ottoman rule in Central Europe. These troops were the first in Europe to make widespread use of firearms, such as arquebuses and light cannons, making them pioneers in the transition from traditional warfare to warfare with new technologies. Although their power began to wane in the 17th century due to corruption and lack of reform, the Janissaries remain a symbol of Ottoman military glory in the medieval era. Genoese Crossbowmen. The Genoese Crossbowmen were an elite mercenary unit from Genoa, Italy, known for their exceptional skill with the crossbow during the medieval era. These troops played an important role in many major conflicts in Europe, including the Crusades and the 100 Years' War. Their prominence came from their use of the crossbow, a weapon that was easier to use than the longbow but had high penetrating power. The crossbow could penetrate heavy armor from a long distance, making it a very effective weapon against infantry and cavalry. Genoese troops also used large shields called pavises, which allowed them to take cover while reloading their weapons. One of their famous appearances was in the Battle of Crécy in 1346, where the Genoese crossbowmen were hired by the French forces. Although they were ultimately defeated by the English longbowmen, their engagement demonstrated their reputation and high demand for their abilities on the battlefield. Beyond land battles, the Genoese crossbowmen were also involved in maritime operations, protecting Genoese merchant ships from pirates and enemies. Their rigorous training and experience in various types of terrain made them a highly versatile military unit. However, like many mercenaries, the Genoese crossbowmen faced loyalty issues that depended on payment. Seljuk Archers. Seljuk Archers were an army of highly skilled horse archers from the Seljuk Empire, one of the dominant powers in the Islamic world in the medieval era, especially during the 11th and 12th centuries. They were renowned for their expertise in hit-and-run tactics that utilize mobility and high accuracy to defeat slower, heavier enemy forces. As horse archers, they used lightweight yet extremely powerful reflex bows, allowing them to shoot arrows with high penetrating power even while moving quickly. This skill allowed them to attack from long range, weakening enemy formations before closing in for a more direct attack. The Seljuk Archers' military tactics were seen in important victories such as the Battle of Manzikert in 1071, where they defeated the Byzantine Empire. They surrounded the enemy forces, weakened them with constant arrow attacks, and then launched a devastating cavalry charge. This victory paved the way for the massive migration of Turks to Anatolia, which eventually became the core of the Ottoman Empire. In addition to their abilities in battle, Seljuk archers also played an important role in cementing Seljuk dominance in the Middle East, Persia, and Asia Minor. They adapted well to a variety of battlefields, from deserts to mountains, making them a highly flexible military unit. The legacy of the Seljuk archers is seen not only in their military victories, but also in their influence on the horse archers of later empires, including the Ottomans and Timurids. Their superior tactics and skills made them one of the most feared armies.